Hello, this is Ryan from Let's Roleplay, and you're watching my Q&A video for March 28th, 2021. On to the questions now. First one up is Buckle Backwoods. Buck, will Sunel be a reoccurring character in your future roleplays, or any of his possible descendants? What are 3 upcoming games that you are most looking forward to? Who are the 3 women that you consider to be exceptionally beautiful? What are your 3 favorite songs? What are 3 of your favorite songs? Yeah, the women and the songs one really took me out of my modding. Get mod oblivion. I guess I was just like a machine in the last week. I was using every minute I could to get it all done. That really actually took me out of it. I'm like, oh man, this is like a totally different headspace. Like I had to unplug myself. Not that I don't think of these things, of course. But let's answer them. Okay, number 1. Will Sunel be a recurring character in your future roleplays or any of his possible descendants? The story of Sunel Railvein from Morrowind is done, though you can speculate as to what kind of a future he'll have. As far as I know, in Oblivion you can hear NPCs telling each other that the word is that the Nerevarine went to Akavir. Yeah, when they, walk to each other and start talking. And that's my son upstairs. As for his descendants, I think that's it for any story I might create. It doesn't mean that I cannot add in something here or there, but I'm not going to play another character, the son of Sunel. The Elder Scrolls 6 might have something that directly, so who knows, maybe it will be in Akavir, and the Nerevarine really did go to Akavir, and he set up a town named after himself. I don't know. However, that doesn't mean that his legacy cannot be referenced. The main character in Oblivion will have a connection to him, but you'll have to know Sunel's story to pick up on its meaning. Number 2, what are the 3 upcoming games that you're most looking forward to? Resident Evil 8 Village would be my number 1, because it's coming out in May of this year. I got into Resident Evil back in the day, and back in the 90s. I don't know, many of you, when you were younger, or if you're around my age, you played it back then. So I bought the first one and the second one, finished them both, and I liked it a lot. I didn't get the third one. It was like, that's the 96, 97, 98 for me. And then you go, I think Resident Evil 4, skip the third one. Got Resident Evil 4, I like Leon, I think he's my favorite character. That game came out in, 2003, 2004? And I didn't get it till probably around 2008, 2009. And I had to buy, for my computer, I had to buy an actual joystick. It's not like a flight sim joystick. I have one up there, I don't think you can see it. Like for consoles, the controller. I had to get that and plug it in there because they really ported that over into the computer bad. So if you don't have a controller, so I think most people hate it. What do you call those things? Not hotkeys. When things come up and you have to press the right keys in quick succession, otherwise you could die or whatever. Yeah, they had several of those moments. Quick time. I don't forget something. I think quick is in the name for those things, and I just couldn't get past like the first quarter of the game because there's a boulder that comes down and crushes you. You have to press like 4 things, and they don't match up what's on your key. If it was just a matter of changing it, no, it wasn't like that. I don't even know if it could have been done on the computer, on the keyboard. So I literally had to wait a couple weeks and ordered in back then. It's weird. But I liked that. I finished that game, and then I just let it go. I heard Resident Evil 5 came out around 2008, 2009. Kids upstairs. And then Resident Evil 6 bombed, and I just kind of gave up on it. And then Resident Evil 7 came out in 2016 or 17, and so yeah, I was talking about Resident Evil. Resident Evil 6 bombed, Resident Evil 7 came out. I heard it actually was a total revamp of the game, and it actually was pretty good. So I'm not really into the horror theme, like Amnesia. Amnesia is the game that I originally heard about, 10 years ago. I actually watched somebody play through it. I never played it myself. I just watched somebody play through it. First guy I watched This is just when YouTube was starting to get big, and my son was born. I'd have him on my lap, and it's not a horror. It's a horror game, but it's not extremely gory or violent. But you can't fight back. What they were, monsters or something like that. I think maybe you've run across a few body parts, and it's kind of, the whole overall thing is kind of nasty, scary. But the guy couldn't finish it, and he was some British guy. He didn't let on that he couldn't finish it. He just stopped making it, and at certain points he was just like, oh, like you can hear him. He wasn't freaking out, but I know it was getting to him. It was actually one of the first YouTubers for playing games I ever watched. 2011, and I don't know what happened to him. I don't even know his name. Apparently he was being inappropriate with some other woman, showing his body parts online, which she didn't appreciate. And then he was actually in the top 50 video makers for YouTube at the time, and then he just disappeared. And I had to go look at what happened to this guy, and apparently he just stopped. Maybe he got back in eventually, but I think his name was really tarnished for a while. I never saw that coming. But anyways, it was fun to, my newborn son, he was just weeks old. I was just, sit and watch YouTube, have my back, everyone feed him or rock him to sleep. And yeah, back in the day. But the point is that I'm not really into horror games, and I'm not scared of them. I don't really like jump scares. I like games where you can fight with evil. I don't mind the horror element. I just don't like it for the sake of it. I'm not like, I don't really go in for a scare. I don't mind some scares. Resident Evil has them. But yeah, the original few games were pretty bad graphics. So I heard about Resident Evil 7 coming out. Resident Evil 2 remake, which I was actually very interested in. And I saw videos of it. And that was just a couple years ago. So that got me back into it. And I love the game. They did Resident Evil 2 very well. I think it's much better than the first one in terms of the time. If you go back to 98 and show Resident Evil 2 remake, obviously everyone's gonna be like blown away because it's like 21 years ahead. The graphics are unbelievable, but I just mean at the time how it was, the reception at the time. And then Resident Evil 3 came out, and I still like it even though it was too short. And Resident Evil 4, they're making a remake of that. That's gonna be out in a couple years. But Resident Evil 8 Village is coming out. I did also get Resident Evil 7 when I got the remake of Resident Evil 2. I didn't like it as much. I don't hate it. I didn't like as much as the remakes. I played through it to the end. I didn't like the things, like some of the boss fights are, the first couple of them, I don't know if you've played it, difficult. I don't like having to redo it 10 times. I mean, I don't think I should have to be able to do it once and it's easy either. I don't mind a few retries, but I had to do it at least, I think I counted 15 times with the chainsaw battle. And it just wasn't very intuitive, at least for me. I thought that was a little bit frustrating. I don't like first person compared to the over the shoulder for the remakes, which I prefer. I don't totally dislike first person. I don't mind shooters. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to Resident Evil 8 Village. Just something. I like the genre. I like the games. They're starting to make them good again since Resident Evil 6 really did well. Quick keys, quick time. I don't know what the hell is called. Hotkeys. But they were doing that a lot about 10 years ago for a lot of the games. And it was frustrating people. I don't think a game should be based around how quickly you can press the right buttons that are flash on the screen. So what is the second game? Oh, I'm going to combine two into one because we don't really know much about them. Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Both lumped together here since we don't know much about them. I'm confident that Bethesda can pull out of the rut that they got themselves into with Fallout 76. I believe that they righted the ship, so to speak, with that game, but it only took them about a year to do it. So I've looked into exactly what happened with Bethesda, and I don't know what happened and why. They're a very lazy company. Every company tries to save money. They're relatively small for how successful games have been. They don't have I know they run a bunch of companies, gaming companies. ZeniMax sold to Microsoft, but it's not that part. It's the actual team that makes the games is pretty small. Didn't I read? Wasn't for the Resident Evil 2 remake had like 500 people. Bethesda has 100 people on average making their games at any one time, I believe. I hope that I'm correct. Yeah, so they're a lazy company, and they do everything they can to recycle and modify their previous work that they've done. So they're still using the same engine from Morrowind, I think that was the new engine, all the way into Fallout 4, maybe even Fallout 76. It's crazy like that. They just upgraded it as they went along. Bethesda wasn't ready for an MMO. But that game, Fallout 76, is supposed to actually be decent these days, so I've heard. Though I wouldn't know because I've sworn off MMOs because of how much time they soak up. Bethesda has also used the huge modding community that basically built up around their games to fix many of the issues that they had in their games. It's a crutch, and it allowed them to be cheaper than they normally would have. But, yeah, I still think that their vision and their games are good. They have their issues, but I think we can all appreciate that open world and just wandering around doing what you want. And as long as the quests are good and things are done well, not every part of every game of that they make, the games that they make are really great. I know that. So I agree with their kind of games. I think they're a lot of fun. I can really get into them. So I'm confident that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 will be good games. And the issues with Fallout 76 and any previous games they had will be fixed. They're creating a new engine, if I remember that right, for those two. They're actually scanning people into the game. They're not, having an artist create them. Scan other objects in the game, like, cell phones or whatever the heck they have, bottles. As for the third game, I had to do a bit of research on that because I don't exactly have anyone on my list that hasn't come out yet. But I suppose I can list a few of the ones that I'll be looking at this year. On my list is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. That actually looks pretty good if you've seen the demos the videos for it on Steam. Really neat looking RPG. Very modern. But the release date hasn't been announced yet. Then there's Humankind, a game like Civilization. The last Civilization, Civ 6, was a bit of a letdown for me. The AI was absolutely terrible. I'm hoping this company it's the same company that did Endless Space, will do a good job with their version of Civilization. So it's called Humankind. It's supposed to be out this year at some point. Then there would be Resident Evil 4, which is, I've already mentioned that, next game to come out after Village, but that might be a few years. And XCOM 3, whenever they announce it, I know that's probably in the works now. And that's a game, actually, I played through and finished it with the expansion, the big expansion. You had to pay $50 Canadian for, at least anyway. Yeah, I played through that just in the last few months. I think when I was sick, I did that. And, sorry, yawning without covering my mouth. Who are the 3 women that you consider to be exceptionally beautiful? So, all right, you guys are making me get out of my headspace to think. I don't think I've been there for a while. All I have to do is take care of my kids and make my videos. And in the last week, I've spent all my time that I could get away with trying to mod Oblivion. So it was a little difficult. I spent the first 10 minutes just trying to unplug to think about what my answer is. At certain times in my life, I'd have answers for you like that. But just at the moment, I don't know why. And, okay, so here it goes. Top of my list would be Natalie Dormer. She was in Game of Thrones. She was actually in Captain America, the first movie, minor role where she kissed him. You'll see, she's coming up to the woman character, Agent Carter. She wasn't Agent Carter yet, but she made her jealous. But I think she's a very beautiful woman. Those eyes, yep, they get me. You'll see a theme here. It'll be pretty obvious. I know it's not blondes. Kate Winslet would be my second. This is going back way into the 90s for me. Yeah, I had a bit of a crush on her back from the movie Titanic. I think she's very beautiful. She's aged. I mean, I've aged. We all get older. We look a little bit different, a little less attractive. But if I was to meet her and I'm single, as she is now, Yeah, I'd still find her very attractive. I don't really want to pull up a picture of her 20 years later. So, who would be my third? This one I had a few people. Once I started into this, I just wanted to keep going. So there's actually going to be 5 here, and it'll be interesting as to why. Yep, it's yes, Haley Atwell is her name. I think she's very beautiful, and so who the theme is so far? Yes, all British actresses, but Gal Gadot I find very attractive too. And I don't think she's the most exceptionally beautiful woman in the world, but I do find her really attractive. And she also has an accent, does she not? She's from Israel, I think. And then this one's interesting. It's Jackie Ainsley, and it wasn't from anything on TV that I saw her from. It was actually Heavy Rain, the video game that I played last year. This is the character she played, and this is a scan of their faces to play. They acted out. They have all these dots in here that are picked up from the camera. And yeah, I find her a very beautiful woman, and she's British as well. My wife actually has an accent. I think the theme is accent, women with accents. And my wife has an accent, and she's actually from Jamaica, so it's a bit of a curveball there, isn't it? It's not just all white women in my life that I am interested in. But for the most part, of course, that's what I'm used to. I don't feel I have to justify that. My wife would say she'd probably have black men up there, but she does like white men too. So that's it for the women I think are exceptionally beautiful. I found this one interesting because this is the first woman I had to look up afterwards. And yeah, I think she's really attractive. The thing for me is I went and looked at models, pictures of beautiful models. There's a lot of absolutely gorgeous women out there, but unless I can like see them, act and move about and talk and different angles, not just a picture, I just don't really get a feel for them, right? So, I mean, that's how I see it anyways. So I have to see them act out parts or do something, or if it's a model, then I have to see them move about and know who they are. But as for models like these, maybe in the 90s I knew a few, but not really today. Now, last question. I thought you did 4. I thought you did 4 questions. Oh, I have 3 written twice. Okay, what are your 3 favorite songs? Keep in mind that this is my subjective view on music. Put a group of people together and ask them the same question: what is your favorite 3 songs? And you probably get a lot of different answers. And the answers that you do get, others might not like them for whatever personal reason. So I've not been keeping up with music in the last 12 years or so. I sort of started getting away from all of it. So my picks would be a little dated. As a writer, and considering how much I do write for my videos, I also consider that part of my writing. I found years ago that listening to things with a bass in general disrupts my ability to clearly think creatively. So I started listening to a lot of classical music, but I found that very few actual historically classical songs, this is my subjective view, are to my liking. There's a few of them that I like. Ave Maria, I think, is a really nice one. But I found I tend to like more movie and video game classical music. So I put this on to inspire me to keep writing. I don't do that when I write for my video games, but for the books that I've written, yeah. It would help me to keep going, especially when I'm into the hundreds of thousands of words. So the top actual song on my list would be a song I keep coming back to because I consider one of the finest pieces of music I ever created. And that's just my opinion. It would be the John Dunbar theme from Dances with Wolves. Let's see if I can't get that. Play for a few seconds. Oh, that is another song. Let's see. I'm sure everybody's heard of this. Can't play it. Who knows what will happen with copyright. But yes, I do think that is a great song. So what would be my second? Well, I lost my place here. Now I have to look for it again. Just one moment. The second would be my wedding song that I actually chose, Unchained Melody from the Righteous Brothers. And everybody knows this song, or you bloody well should. And I've got the wrong song on here. There we go. Everybody knows this song. And don't say Ghost. Thought that was a neat movie when I was young, but I went back to watch a bit of it, and it was terrible. At least that's how I feel about it. And when we were practicing our dance, we actually went to a dance school to practice our waltz. And yeah, the people that were dancing with us are like, that song reminds me of Ghost. And that's like the last thing I wanted to hear. So the third would be Drive from Cars. I've got a good memory of that song at a high school dance when I was in grade 11, which would have been around late 92, early 93. Yep, and it involves a girl. And I don't really need to play that. Everybody knows that song. If you don't, look up Drive from the Cars. Like anyone, one can go on and on about their songs, music, and women. Yes, something that I very much enjoy as part of my life. But this is about my games and my writing for the games and the storyline and the RPGs. The Let's Roleplay aspect of it. Okay, so next person. Ralof Stormcloak. Will you be roleplaying Fallout 4 or Skyrim first? That's his first question. Number 2, are you able to become more immersed in the game world when creating a Let's Roleplay? How do you manage your time between... Number 3, how do you manage your time between family, work, YouTube, and other responsibilities? All right, then. Let's answer these. Number 1, will you be role-playing Fallout 4 or Skyrim first? I will be putting out Fallout 4 this year, I believe. I haven't played through Pillars of Eternity 2, so I'm not sure. I very much like Fallout 4. I know not everyone does, but as I've said before, I do. One of the things I get to do in my videos is show you how I see and feel about them. I recently read that someone thought Fallout 4 was so boring that they couldn't even finish it. So, I mean, I had the opposite experience. It's one of the few Bethesda games that I did finish, and despite a few things in it that I didn't like, such as creating those little communities all over the map, I overall very much liked it. Skyrim after Oblivion, Fallout 4 after Pillars of Eternity 2, which is probably around half done right now. Number 2, are you able to become more immersed in the game world when creating a Let's Roleplay? Hopefully this won't take too long to answer. I've been asked this question before, some years back. I think it was around 2014 or 15. The answer is yes, very much so. I enjoy putting my vision and my views in writing and to express it. Some of my original views on Morrowind going back to 2003, 2004 were saved, because I have a good memory, and expressed in the game, the videos that I just made. I actually did not like Nords back then because, well, Sunil would, as he would say, they would tend to go full idiot on you and attack you for little or no reason. It wasn't until Skyrim that I got to know Nords and their culture better before I started to like them. So now they're my second favorite race. The first is Dunmer. That view on Nords really came out in my videos, so I hope also that my admiration for the Dunmer people and their history was also properly conveyed from Sunil's viewpoint. I get to share my own take on the world and their situations through the lens of my character. One can roleplay in their own heads as they play on their own, but the overall situation is that by going through it video by video and writing all of it down, I'm writing down my character's personality as I go, his reasons for whatever his views or actions are. It's incredibly detailed doing it this way. But back then, when I was asked the original question, I wasn't writing it all down and voicing my videos as I do now. But even without any writing, I'm still able to record my character's story, and I have to stop and sometimes justify why I'm making a decision. Writing or not writing, I'm still shaping my character. It's not so easy to do that if I just keep a few rules in my head when they play a game and role play. Even if you go and write out their backstory, that's still quite minuscule compared to acting it out throughout the videos, which they're following along. So yeah, I would liken it to reading a synopsis on the back of a book compared to reading the entire book. You might experience a lot of neat things as you roleplay on your own, but compared to what I'm doing, it's quite different. And my videos are a hell of a lot of work compared to just playing a game and role-playing as you go. Also, what you might experience is much more what the game is throwing at you, especially if it's your first play of it. The depth of your actual role-playing might be forgettable. Mine, since it took so much effort to do, will be much more memorable, for me at least. So, is the depth of my own immersion more? Yes. Think of it like this too. You go to work, you do your job, then go home, or you go on a date and go home. You have time to think about it afterwards, how whatever stood out. Like, you're very proud of the work that you did, or you feel like you've met the woman of your dreams on the date. So thinking about things afterward is a lot of how we place things in our lives. I get to stop and think as I play because I can only do so much at a time. One cannot do that if they're just playing right through a game for 8 hours. Then you're done and thinking about your next game. You may remember the game as a great experience, but you didn't get to stop and think about it for months at a time while you played it. I hope that all makes sense. So the third question is, how do you manage your time between family, work, YouTube, and other responsibilities? I would say I put a lot of my other responsibilities on hold for way too long before I get them done. My family comes first, then my health, or however it works out, as long as they're safe and secure and their needs are taken care of. So my health, and then my work, which is just YouTube right now. Considering how ill I've been in the last 10 years, it's not an easy thing to do anything much beyond the first two, family, health. So this is why I struggle to do my videos sometimes. I suffer from a lot of stupid little things that I don't even like talking about because I'm even irritated with thinking about them. Heart issues, which are rare for me, but I do have the occasional bout of atrial fibrillation, blood sugar issues, which affect my energy. So, like I said, keto diet. If I'm not getting in enough sugar, oh man, I crash. It's happened to me quite a few times in the last few years. I didn't realize I had this issue, and I will crash on the couch, and I don't even fall asleep. I just like totally walk out. I don't like that. Like you just feel like your body's shutting off. So that and insomnia. I don't know if I'll have a long life with all these health issues I have. I have an injury to my spine, I have neurological issues, and then just the ones I mentioned. But I'm making the best out of what I have with what I know. So I hope that answers everything to your satisfaction. And Oblivion will be here soon. Sort of like, and winter is coming.